I just popped on here for a quick minute to I have a speculation on what Tarkov might end up kind of being like the meta and all that coming in the future. Not really a weapon meta or anything like that, but I've been kind of messing around, and as you can see, I'm still the same level pretty much on the PMC. I haven't did any raids or anything on here. I've did 4 or 5 scav raids. Basically, we started with 500,000 on this game. We did a few scav raids, got it to a mil, got the scav box, dropped down to like 30,000, did like 5 or 6 scav raids, got up to 100,000 or whatever it was so that we could get the dog tag case, drop back down to 0, and now we've did 4 or 5 scav raids today and we're at 400,000. And I made a discovery that, you know, I'm not exactly sure if it's going to be a feature um, for all of Tarkov in the future, but essentially, Tarkov for a long time has been kind of where loot spawns in static areas and people rush those areas. So when you spawn somewhere, you know exactly where to go, where to look to find certain things. And I know that they're changing it up to where the items are supposed to spawn kind of maybe in certain zones, but they'll be more randomized all over instead of specific spots. And I like that, just like if you watched when we played Miscreated back in the day. Miscreated's loot system is probably one of the best that I've seen in like pretty much any game that I ever played because the items they spawn in rooms or whatever, but they could literally spawn anywhere in the room. So to find the item, you would actually have to like get down and look in all the cracks and crevices and look on the top of shelves or behind bed mattresses or whatever, and you might only see like a part of the item and not the whole item. So that game, I very much enjoyed its looting system, even if its graphics and stuff weren't very bad. And then the uh, the grass and all of that for Miscreated are pretty much the same as Tarkov. So really thick foliage. You're able to die in one shot. What I would say is that Miscreated does not have as much weapon customization or options basically for gear, but with all that being said, the scarcity of ammo and all of that has kind of balanced that game out to where it was pretty interesting to play. Now, I think there's going to be a change because everyone that I've seen that plays the game, they still rush stagnant loot areas. And I don't know when exactly this change happened or if anyone's really taken notice, but I was doing a scav run and I was looting some basic boxes that nobody loots in the garage of Interchange. And I know in the past I've found Reaper scopes and stuff in these garages, but this time I found a Gen 4 Assault, full 100%, full brand new in a crate. And this really makes me think because if they make it to where uh like spawnable loot in matches is randomized to where you can't find you'd have to spend a lot of time looking for the item if it doesn't have like set spawn locations in rooms. You'd have to sit there and sweep every room and look around for everything. And I think if how the system works out, if they don't make it to where there's different locations for the boxes to spawn, uh, searching containers might be a better option because I've played Interchange for a very long time and finding armor alone was hard enough. I mean, the Kiba store, you might find a vest or something on there every now and then, and you might find, some armor on a body or I mean, I think there's a couple spots for like a white vest like these, but for a solid Gen 4 body armor to be 100% and in a crate, that's a game changer. So I really don't think looting the major areas is going to be the biggest deal anymore. Because let's say if you take interchange, for example, the tech stores and stuff, they spawned graphics cards and all that. You could grab the graphics card, sell it, make money off of it. But everyone rushes the graphic card stores. You have a lot more fights at the graphic card stores and stuff. And now, if the spawns are not static anymore, and those graphics cards may not spawn in the tech stores at all anymore, then that becomes more dangerous. So, if the graphics card can spawn anywhere, all across the map, for instance, that means it's going to be a very big gamble to try and find the card and stick it in your pocket or whatever. And people may sweep an area and look for it if it spawns consistently in one zone. But it also means that it's going to take you a lot more time to look for those items. So you're going to have a lot more food, a lot more water. You're going to have to use your focus to look for the items, which makes you vulnerable. And in that case, if you're looking for that graphics card and you're having to sweep around a bunch of stores, looking in corners and under desks and things to find the item, it leaves you open to being picked off by someone else looking for the same thing. But containers in the game, so far, they don't move. And now that they're actually dropping things like this, I think that's a very big indication that I would prefer to search the boxes. Mainly because a lot of people don't search the boxes, a lot of people don't go in the areas that I go. Um, on top of that, you can get uh, there's skills over here. Let me look at them real quick. So one of them is the search skill. So you can search, allows you to search bodies and containers faster and more efficiently. So this is bodies and containers. That means that if you search more containers instead of running around and grabbing items off shelves, that this search skill is going to go up, and then it's going to take you less time to search containers, which gives you an advantage over somebody else who would be searching containers at a lower speed. But this also would help you when you kill players, because if you can search faster when you down a player, it's going to take you less time to get their loot. And generally, players have a lot more stuff than containers or walls on shelves. So I think that alone is a very big deal. And faster and more efficiently. So you might be able to look at multiple items at the same time, which would help you get stuff in your inventory quicker, which I think will be good. Now, I think there's another one, but maybe I'm wrong. So attention is useful for looting containers. It increases the looting speed. So this, to me, just seems like increases looting speed, faster and more efficiently. So this probably has you to where you can look through maybe look at multiple items at the same time, and the other one's speed. But anyway, that means that once you get both of these leveled up, you could probably, because I've never leveled these up very much, but you could probably, if they have 10 levels, let's say if you can do 10 times faster on searching containers, that means every container in the game you have the possibility of searching 10 times faster. And nobody searches containers in the game because it puts you in a vulnerable situation. But on the same side of this, nobody's paying attention to the containers and they're going towards these loot zones, and then they're fighting each other and stuff at the loot zones, which allows you to kind of come in later into a raid and loot things that they didn't perhaps find or go near. But it also means that you don't have to risk yourself as much. And I think that's a pretty valuable thing that you could actually have. And if loot items and containers are random now, which it kind of seems like they are, and you have the possibility of finding anything inside, that seems like it could be a pretty big deal. Or at least finding military grade equipment inside of crates. Because that means that you could take a level 2 armor like I do, have the possibility of killing off enemy players or scavs or whatever, but then finding a fresh Gen 4 instead of having to go and buy Gen 4s and stuff, take them into raids to kill raiders and things to get more Gen 4s and all of that. You know, these things are still worth a bit. Like I don't have any traders particularly leveled up at the moment. We're all level 1, but I can still sell that for, 85,000, which isn't too bad. I mean, that's quite a bit for this on the flea market. It's probably going to be like, I don't know, 120 to 200,000 for that. But now people can actually find them on the ground, which is going to save a lot of money. That's really all I had for this. We have another day of work, and I'll probably hop on here tomorrow and start messing around for a couple of runs on the PMC. I'm pretty sure that 12.2 update or something's coming down the line. So that's something that's gonna probably happen pretty soon, is what people were saying. So if it does and it happens to be a wipe, I'll start playing this again and we'll see what happens. And we'll kind of, I might level up therapist to get containers, but I think I want to stick with just trading for basic items because I like the idea. I want to try and play the game more like a survival game instead of this market economy game. And I'm not 100% sold if I want to use traders or not, because if it's going to be something like miscreated, then you would just find the stuff in the raid to use. And then if it's going to be like, if there was NPC traders in the game, then I could use these guys. But I mean, they sell so much stuff, it would be very easy just to, buy what you need and not store it. Whereas, like, you look earlier, I found a suppressor on a table and it fits on this AK. So, I mean, that just it feels a lot better to me to actually have to go out and find components and store them and then slowly piece them together to use them on your weapons, because it makes it that much more intense if you use something that you've been modding out for like 6 months and then you die with it. It's just, I don't know. It's a big deal on survival games when you bring out your good stuff and you lose it. It just takes a chunk out of you. And so I think that would be a pretty nice thing to have. So I might just try and do that. But if I don't use the traders, I might just do it to where I can barter instead of buy items. I don't really know. Because like this right here, if I use the traders, I can barter for that. But to me, this barter doesn't seem very bad. I mean, it's a couple of pliers and a screwdriver, and you get a pretty decked out shotgun that you could strip the sight and the foregrip and all that off of it and use it on other things. So I don't really know about that. I think what I may do is just I might just use weapons that I find in game, or I will continue to trade with traders just because finding if I try to play with other players and I'm just using stuff that I find in raid, then it may become very difficult for me to survive. Whereas if I can trade with traders, at least I can get the base guns. So if I do happen to continue trading with traders, I think it's going to be just the basic items, level 1 items. So these SMGs, shotguns, um, AKs. I mean, I don't think I would ever trade two perfectly good guns for one gun, but um, you know, PKMs. I mean, this is going to be a very basic gun that I'm probably going to use a lot of. Keter, solid weapon, good for runs. This Mosin, I mean, a trade for that Mosin could be good. And also just because I just don't think um, being able to save up a bunch of money and just buy all your gear is good for a survival type game. So unless later on these traders become much more difficult to unlock and manage, I just don't see, because it's not very hard to make money in the game at the moment. As you can see, I got 400,000 from like 4 or 5 scav raids. And that wasn't even me piling down. That was me just like coming in, grabbing a couple things, and then leaving. So, what was it, like red key card or something? That was like 20 million in the past. That means I mean, just casually playing like 5 raids, it would take you like a month or so. But if you played all day, let's say if you only did scav raids, and let's say you got like 50,000 a raid, not anything crazy. I think scav raids are like every 16 minutes, but I'll just put it to 15 just so it's easier in my head. So if you get 50k every 15 minutes, that's 100k every 30 minutes. So in an hour, you'd have 200k. And so in 5 hours, you'd have a million. So basically 100 hours. So, I mean, that's like, what, 5 days or something? So, I mean, if you played one day a week pretty hard, you could probably get it fairly easy. And that's like one of the most expensive items on the game. The main thing is just everyone, you go and you buy, you make a half mil and you spend a half mil on gear and then you die and then you come back with a half mil. But yeah, I'll probably test this out. And we have somebody in a couple towns over, some chick that added us on social media that wants to play Call of Duty Warzone, so I might put that back on. I updated Call of Duty the other day, so I may go and play it a little bit, but I doubt that I'm going to stay on there. Um, I guess it just depends on how good the games go. But I'm going to hop off here. There's somebody revving an engine up outside.